Hello, I'm sitting in the studio and I'm interviewing Miss Watkins about illnesses. How does your body catch an illness like measles?
Measles are transmitted by cross-contamination, which means it's a bit like you have to touch someone else and be in close skin contact normally to catch measles. Normally it's worse when you've got a cough or cold or you're already poorly, like people that have cancer and have a lower immune system are more of a risk, as well as people that are on steroids. So it's where your body, it's a bacteria that joins onto your body and creates passes the bacteria from one body to the other.
How does your body cope with the illness and make it better?
So when you're little, you have a measles, mumps and rubella vaccination, which can help prevent you from getting such as bad strain of measles. But you can still have a mild reaction to measles. Depends how many MMRs that you've had in the past. And so it's recommended you have one. You have one when you're a baby, and then you have another one when you are going to school, about 4, and then you have another one as a booster you can have in your late teens. And say if you're going into anything where you're going to be exposed to, it's recommended you have one every 10 years. So you get spots is the main symptom, and a rash, and you can end up with a temperature and be quite poorly with measles, especially if you are poorly to begin with. It attacks, as I say, your white cells, which are the things that fight off bacteria. So it changes the cells, and you need more white cells in your body because you have red cells and white cells, and the white cells are the ones that fight off all the bacteria.
So the more ill you are, the more easier you can catch them.
Yeah, and people that have cancer treatment, for example, it depletes all their white blood cells, which is their bacteria-fighting cells. So they don't have many, so that's why they get poorly a lot quicker. Whereas healthy people that are not unwell to begin with, they don't have any problems fighting off because they have a good lot of white blood cells. So it's like having a small army against a big army. If there's a small army, the big army will win.
Could you ever wipe out infectious illnesses so no one gets illness anymore?
Unfortunately, there's always kind of new strains. It's a bit like kind of the flu vaccination. That tends to change every year, because even though we vaccinate against all different things, there are different strains, and that the bacteria, which is a group of cells, changes and evolves. So unfortunately it is quite hard, but as I say, there's lots of research and scientists and people earning lots and lots of money working in laboratories and looking at all these different cells, trying to prevent getting illnesses, and hopefully trying to wipe out a lot of illnesses through vaccinations and things like that. So it's making sure really that you have all your vaccinations you could possibly have.
Can you protect yourself from getting infectious illnesses?
The best thing you can do is be as healthy as possible, eat as healthy as possible, and wash your hands, because that is the biggest thing that is why we get poorly, especially kind of sickness bugs and kind of coughs and colds. It's cross-contamination because we do everything with our hands. We touch door frames, which other people have touched after they blowed their nose, or they could have gone to the toilet and not clean their hands properly. So as long as if we're putting anything near our mouths or it's going anywhere near us, we need to make sure our hands are nice and clean. So it's always good. Hand hygiene is the best thing and the simplest thing you can do to prevent you getting poorly.
What's the worst illness you can get?
Ooh. Probably meningitis is the most affected one that affects a lot of people, and that can lead to septicemia, which is the biggest complication of meningitis, which is blood poisoning. And once it leads to blood poisoning, it can damage your brain, all your organs, and then that's when it becomes near enough irreversible sometimes. If you've already got it damaging, once it damages your brain and your heart, it's quite hard for all the antibiotics to fight it off. And that's what normally kills a lot more people. But as I say, there's a vaccination now against meningitis, meningococcal disease. There's different strains, but it's meningitis C. We give a vaccination now at the age of 15. So when you're in year 10, you get a vaccination.
Thank you very much for coming in and talking to me and explaining illnesses.
That's all right, Louie.